Can you image O3 during a full moon? A common question among astrophotographers imaging in narrowband is whether it's worth imaging O3 during a full moon. I have read others suggest saving O3 for dark nights and stick to hydrogen alpha during bright moon phases. But how bad is the moon really for O3? Today I wanted to run a real-world test using the Pelican Nebula. But first I want to take a minute and talk about what O3 light is. In narrowband astrophotography, we know it is useful to photograph, but what exactly are we photographing? For areas bright with O3, we are looking at regions of space that are likely flooded with intense ultraviolet radiation or powerful shockwaves. Not exactly a friendly place for humans. O3 filters isolate the blue-green light emitted by doubly ionized oxygen at a wavelength of about 500 nanometers. If you use PixInsight regularly, you probably know that wavelength by heart since you enter it so often. For the chemistry majors out there, doubly ionized oxygen simply means an oxygen atom that has lost 2 electrons. The O3 light we capture is produced when energetic ultraviolet radiation ionizes oxygen atoms by stripping away those electrons. The resulting oxygen ions are left in an excited energy state, and as they transition to lower energy states, they emit the characteristic blue-green O3 light that we can detect and photograph. I like to imagine the electrons as planets whose orbits have been disturbed by a passing massive object. Unfortunately, atomic physics is nothing like Newtonian physics, so any chemistry professor watching this is probably already reaching for a red pen. Anyway, let's get on with the test. Both images were taken with the CarbonStar 150, a 585 mono camera, and an Optolong 7 nanometer filter. Both were taken in Henderson under some pretty light-polluted skies. The goal wasn't to create a perfect scientific experiment. Instead, I wanted to see whether O3 data collected during a nearly full moon was still usable, or if it was simply a waste of imaging time. The first image was captured on 4 days in May, and consists of 3.5 hours of integration. During those imaging sessions, the moon had set or was very low on the horizon. The second image was captured on June 1st. This image contains only 1.5 hours of integration time. The moon was nearly 100% illuminated and approximately 90 degrees away from the Pelican Nebula. So not only do we have a bright moon, but the image also has less than half the integration time. Looking at the linear stacked images side by side, the differences are subtle until you look closer. These are not processed. The longer May integration is cleaner and smoother. It has lower noise and slightly better contrast in the faint structures. The June image shows more noise and reduced contrast. That's exactly what we would expect when imaging O3 with a nearly full moon in the sky. But here's the important part. The O3 signal is still there. Despite a nearly full moon and less than half the integration time, the structure of the nebula is still visible. In fact, here's the final processed image. Can you tell if it was captured with a nearly full moon in the sky? My PixInsight skills are not on par with Atom Block, not even close. What's impressive is that this result came from only 1.5 hours of integration time. If the moon had completely overwhelmed the signal, we'd expect the image to fall apart as it does when clouds drift through the field. Instead, the O3 signal we are after is still strong enough to survive the brighter sky background. This doesn't mean the moon has no effect. It absolutely does. You lose efficiency, the background becomes brighter, the noise increases, and you'll need more total integration time to achieve the same signal-to-noise ratio. So the moon acts more like an additional source of light pollution, meaning you may need more integration time to overcome the brighter sky background. And based on this comparison, a bright moon doesn't automatically mean your O3 session is ruined. Here are the final images that I came up with. So if I have the choice, I'm still going to prioritize hydrogen alpha during a full moon. After that, sulfur 2 would be my next choice. O3 remains the most sensitive of the 3 major narrowband filters to moonlight. However, if you've already collected enough hydrogen alpha and sulfur 2 data, I don't think a full moon means you should stay inside. Based on this comparison, keeping the moon roughly 90 degrees away from your target appears to produce usable subs. You can help by shooting while your target is higher in the sky and when the moon is low on your horizon. And of course, if your target is weak on O3, like the California Nebula, then maybe not bother either way. There may absolutely be situations where O3 imaging under a bright moon doesn't work well, but based on this test, it doesn't appear to suffer nearly as much as RGB imaging does under the same conditions. Will the data be as good as a moonless night? No. Will you lose some contrast and efficiency? Absolutely. But under the right circumstances, I don't think you're wasting a night of imaging. I'm curious what your experience has been. I've had this question for a while, and this is only one data point. I'd still like to test under different moon phases and separations to see where the real breaking point is. O3 is not as forgiving or as bright as hydrogen alpha. O3 also varies by object. Sometimes O3 fills the entire frame like a hazy cloud, making you think your neighbor's porch lights are on and you need to break out an aggressive dynamic background extraction. Other times it is localized and there's only so much O3 to capture. So do you image O3 during a full moon? And if so, how far away do you try to keep the moon from your target? What are your guidelines? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.